You are listening to an Atomic Broadcasting production, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the feature presentation. And remember, do your part, such as like, comment, rate, and don't forget to tell a friend to tune in for an Atomic Time.
Hey guys, Jordy again with a quick reminder for you. We are in the middle of our hiatus, so we do have some bonus episodes coming for you. One that we'll get to right as soon as I finish talking here, and then another one coming down the pike here. We will be back with the official resumption of the main content on the 5th of February with our recap episode. That way, if you forgot some details from book one, or if you've got some friends you're trying to get into the show, but you can't quite convince them to listen to 30-some episodes to get caught up, you could just jump right in there and be all ready to jump into book 2 with us here in February. It's February 5th that recap episode is coming out. In the meantime, not only do we have the 2 bonus episodes that'll be coming out on this feed, we also have our secondary feed, the Atomic Broadcasting Variety Hour. We're going to be releasing a 3-part side adventure that we did over there. Mostly the same cast. Sven couldn't make it for that one, so we did have a couple bonus guest appearances that appeared for that adventure. There's also a short run of a Delta Green adventure that story, it's all wrapped up first season, so you can listen through that one. It's a bit of a tidy arc if you're dying for a little bit more Atomic Broadcasting content in the middle of this hiatus. Anyway, just wanted to give you that quick update, and now I'll turn things back over to our gang for our retrospective episode.
It's the fuffle shuffle fun day music. It's a beautiful, I like the xylophone. We're not supposed to acknowledge it, though.
Breaking all of the rules.
Hey everybody, and welcome to this special bonus episode. We are here, the cast of The Written and the Lost. We're going to do a quick Q&A session here right after the close of book 1. So right now we don't have a ton of questions from the peanut gallery, as it were, but we do have a few questions that our players have. I might even have a couple questions here and there for the players. So we're going to just kind of dive into that and just do some Q's and A's. But I'm going to go ahead and start us off with the first question. I'm going to kick over to our CEO of Atomic Broadcasting, Sam. How did we even get started on this project for The Written and the Lost as an actual play show?
Well, I think we got started in the way that most everybody almost starts but doesn't start. We spent about 2 years playing games being like, hey, what if we made this a show? And then we didn't. And then we kept going. And then we brought it up again. And then we didn't. And we kept going. Then we brought it up again. We didn't. And then we started writing an audio show. I started writing the script with my friends Abby and Michael Jenkins. And then we started recording that. And then I didn't really like it, so we stopped. And then I was like, we have all this stuff. Let's just go for an actual show. I think that's the order of how that went. And so I was like, I want to do a show. And I was the GM at the time. And I was like, I don't want to run it because I'm getting tired of running 2+ year campaigns, but I like playing in them. So, of course, I work with Jordy. So I just looked over at Jordy and said, hey, Jordy, I'm thinking about that thing again. Of course, we've just said that like 10 times by this point. And he was like, and I was just like, I want us to do this show, but I think you should run it. And he said, I have some ideas. And then we started going and actually recruiting our group, all of which we almost immediately thought of, except for one person at this table. And then we...
Oh,
they
no.
all
Which
looked
one
at
is
each
that?
other.
Who was it?
It was Sam.
Oh.
And so then we spent countless lunches devising and talking, and then got everyone together, bought all the equipment and stuff, and then Jordy, I guess, started working on all this stuff. How did that process go for you, Jordy? The whole now that the network was established and we were working on the show, how did that process of actually making the show go for you?
So it was a really interesting process. I kind of juggled around the idea for a while of running a pre-written adventure because I'd listened to a lot of and seen that other people do a lot of actual plays where they do a pre-written story, and it just didn't really grab me. Anytime I'd been a game master, I'd done my own stories, and I was like, I just don't know if I'll have the investment if I'm doing somebody else's story.
And that actually reminds me, if I can jump in, we'd actually put a Reddit post out asking people if they preferred homebrew shows or actual play shows, and it was like 50-50. It was ridiculous. I was like, oh, let's ask, then it might help us decide. It was like 50-50. People like both. We were like, well, okay, that didn't
Makes
do
it worse.
anything.
You can't go wrong, I guess.
I didn't even know about this. I didn't get to vote.
Well, you weren't on that subreddit, I guess.
I guess
I
I was
also
not part
didn't
of the
know
group
about
yet.
That was a
Wink,
long
wink.
time. It was in the, I just posted it in the 2E subreddit, the Pathfinder
was on
2nd
that.
edition
Oh,
subreddit.
yeah. This was back early in the pre-production, so this was over a year ago, back when this happened.
Wow.
So at that point, I was like, okay, I kind of want to do our own story, but I don't really have any good ideas. And then I started my first time through the Monster Hunter World DLC, where they unlock this like new icy region. And I was like, man, this place is cool. I like the vibes of this icy region. And I was like, maybe if we did an adventure in an icy region. And that was literally where the entire story came from, was I want to go to the north.
I love that idea.
Is that why our pre-play, like, because we did pre-play before we did this, just so we can like mesh together and everything, kind of understand some things. Is that why you chose that adventure, or?
No, it was actually just one of the more recent published adventures. And I was just like, this one sounds fun. Let's play it.
Yeah, it really helped out because we had the equipment. We wanted to test it, so we started a campaign. And it was literally the neighboring country with the Mammoth Lord's Quest for the Frozen Flame. With Pakano, everyone's favorite
Screw
NPC.
Screw him.
Pakano.
He killed me.
Go,
And
He
me.
did.
go die
He
a
was
hole, Pakano.
Such a jerk.
I miss the Berry Bros.
Oh, Bear.
Yeah, Berry Bros.
Anybody who's gonna play that is gonna go, "Where are the Berry Bros?
Yeah, who are they?
Who's the Berry
A
Bros?"
canon group of folks that just live in the background. They do
Yep.
no harm. They're not a boss. They're not. They're just. They are
just
there.
there.
They are always there.
All their names start
All
with
right,
J.
all right, everybody. If anybody who's listening, if you're going to make a campaign for Pathfinder, include the Berry Bros. I want to see that in writing so other people can
I
enjoy
mean,
them.
they're
You
just-
don't even need details. They're just
You don't-
bros who like
Yeah.
berries.
They pick berries.
Yeah, but with the getting the production of the show going and everything, we actually you may not know this. A lot of these episodes are recorded well in advance of when they actually come out. We actually started recording in January of 2023.
Yep.
It's been that long?
So if you
Yeah.
just kind of look back at when the first episodes came out, you'll see there's a bit of a lag time there.
I mean, it's July right now.
As we're recording this.
We just released episode 12?
Oh,
Is that wrong? 11?
I think 11's coming out on Monday.
Oh,
I bet
God.
this bonus
Hang
episode
on.
is
No,
gonna
I
come
think
out
11
next
just
year.
came out.
Hey,
Oh
editor.
my gosh. Hang on, I'm looking at Spotify.
You can't hear our editor most of the time. He sits in the back. He's nice.
Okay, so after looking at Spotify, we just released episode 10 on Monday. So we're about to drop episode 11.
Nice.
That's how.
So
Anyway,
that's
we
the lag.
recorded a bit before you guys get to see it.
So yeah, so we did the pre-play, and then from there we just kind of jumped into
Yeah.
it, and now we're here.
Um,
But there were some things that happened before we actually started getting playing, like making characters.
Woo.
Does anyone want to talk about how they came about with their character? Hey Petite, you're new to role-playing games and haven't done a lot. What was going through your head when you decided you wanted to play a little Magus?
Other than
So that kind of did go through my head. I'll be honest. Every character that I've ever created have been so off the wall because
It's true.
I don't understand any of the mechanics and like until this campaign, I still don't really get it. I didn't understand how spellcasting worked or like spell books or anything. So like playing anything that can cast spells, I was just like, hey, that sounds cool. I'm gonna do that. So I didn't really have a plan when it came down to it. Most of my character creation started from I have a concept and I'm going to build off of that one concept. And wouldn't you know it, the concept started as I started watching, and I haven't finished it, surprisingly, the first 3 episodes of Sandman.
Ooh.
So I don't think I've ever told anybody that.
Wait,
I
so
don't
you
think you
didn't
did.
finish the first 3
Still
episodes, or you didn't finish the show?
I haven't finished the show.
I don't even know what
Mostly
this
because I
is.
got rid of Netflix.
The Sandman by
But-
Neil Gaiman.
The Sandman, after watching those first couple episodes, I was like, man, he's a very dark character. with somewhat of a lighthearted, feel to him. Like you feel sympathetic towards him, but at the same time, he scares the crap out of me. And I kind of thought that I was like, okay, so I'm going to make a character that's just kind of creepy, kind of lighthearted. And by this point,
super pale.
Yeah, super pale. Super pale. And at this point, of course, this has built onto it. Someone who absolutely doesn't know how to read the room. Multiple rooms.
What?
Or holes or dungeons or cages or doors or tunnels or... I'm surprised I'm not dead yet.
You know, I never would have guessed that he was at all based on Morpheus.
No.
Really?
But, like, once you say it, it's like,
Yeah.
I see that. I see that, but I would have never guessed that
Wow.
Morpheus was an inspiration.
I was
going
gonna
to
say the same thing. I was gonna be like, I would have not guessed, but you said, I'm like, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. And like I said, every episode or every time I build onto it, I just kind of do something that's very similar to his theme. Not Morpheus, but that original dark, lighthearted type of guy. And of course, at this point, we haven't really seen much of his story, so I can't go into that as to why he's dark yet lighthearted. But I can say that every single thing that he's built on has all been a part of that. So in one of the most recent episodes, I used Vomit Swarm, which technically it's supposed to be a bunch of different pests and whatnot, but I thought, hey, spiders are scary. I'm just going to go with spiders.
Spiders
That
are
is
pests.
a pest.
But it's supposed to be like a mixture of like roaches and
Yeah.
spiders and ants
Yeah,
and
but
beetles and junk.
Spiders are terrifying.
But that, and then I have fear and like message, and you can imagine just sitting there and hearing somebody just whisper in your ear something creepy, and that was like, that's exactly what Zephyr would do. Just whisper in your ear.
Okay, so what drew you to the Magus class?
So actually, that's a funny story too.
So funny.
Actually, I can't. It's not like funny, haha, but more like funny, like
Wow.
I can't really divulge too much of it,
That's okay.
but whenever I was talking to Jordy about how my character worked and everything, the original concept was I will use a bow, but I do not use arrows. And Jordy was like, oh, so are you going to be like using your spells along with your bow? And then that you could use the spell strike and everything with that. And I don't know, there was something to do with Magus and using your weapons and spells and all kinds of things. I still don't fully understand it.
I can tell. You've spell striked like once.
I think a total, yeah.
I don't have a lot of the action economy because to spell strike, you have to have the 2 actions to actually do the thing. And then you have to have 1 action to recharge that spell strike. And by the time I've done that, I can't move. I can't do anything. So at that point, I can't really get into position to spell strike.
So, you're supposed to use 1 action to get up to where you want, spell strike, and then next round, use an action to recharge.
But then I can't move. Also,
You have to.
at that point, sometimes I can't even get to that point to recharge it because either we've gone through an entire round
That's true.
and we've killed the thing.
That's true.
So it's like, what's the point of going there and then using it and then not? I don't
mean,
know.
fair enough, man. Fair enough. You haven't been doing bad not using it.
Nobody's died
No.
yet.
Yet.
It's been very close a few
Very
times,
close.
but no one's actually.
On one
Cross that line.
person.
What?
No, actually, there was another one that was almost dead.
We all, except for
Almost
Zephyr,
dead.
all
Guy who
almost
jumps
died.
out of a
Sure.
window.
I don't recall Hamir ever almost dying.
Okay, we don't
Hamir's
talk about
dead to
Hamir
us.
right now.
Yeah.
He's a freaking traitor.
We can talk about Hamir.
I don't want to talk about Hamir.
Get back in the fridge, Sam.
Oh man, this is a Q&A.
Oh man, it's a callback to a different episode.
Hey, you know which episode we just recorded?
We haven't told Sam to get in the fridge yet.
Ah,
No.
it's a
Call forward.
Call forward.
Wibbly wobbly,
Foreshadowing.
timey-wimey.
It's a
You
future
guys-
reference.
Foreshadow.
Spoilers.
We're doing the Q&A from the fridge.
We're all in the refrigerator right
Very
now.
cool.
So if anybody's listening who's not understanding what that means,
Just wait.
just keep listening.
Wait
Wait
for the
for
next
Monday.
episode.
yeah.
You'll find out.
One day. That sounds cool. Well, I like Zafir. He's been very interesting. He's grown on me. He grew badly for Hamir. Hamir did not like Zafir.
So bad he left.
I liked him enough to beat him up when he was...
That's true.
All right. Well, that sounds great. I like your character. It's cool stuff.
I'm
Thank you.
curious to know about Sven because I know Sven went through like 4 classes before deciding on wizard.
Remember
So
when
I
he was
wanna
a
know.
druid?
I do remember
And
when
he was sold
a
to be a druid. Then he suddenly wasn't a druid. And we're like, we have no wisdom or healing now. And we panicked.
It's true. Not my fault though. Not really my fault though.
It's what inspired you to create Uver.
Was it? What wasn't it? No. Honestly, what really started it off is I wanted to play a different spellcaster other than like sorcerer or something like that. So a prepared spellcaster. And I was like, druid seems like it'd be pretty cool. So I started creating this this old and wizened dwarf, and kind of building his story and backstory. And the more I built it and fleshed it out, and the more I kind of discovered more about Uver, I realized that druid did not fit him at all. Everybody already knows this, but I started with the idea of rune scarred.
Oh, I didn't know.
Well, I didn't know you
that.
started with
Yeah.
that.
I didn't know that
I
was
didn't
your
know that
original
either.
idea.
That was part of the original idea, was starting out with rune scarred. I didn't know how Jordy was going to use it, but so the more I built upon that idea and fleshed him out is where I realized that druid it didn't fit him. So that's how I switched to wizard at the last minute.
Yeah,
Talking with our GM, it also made sense. So
Yeah. I could not imagine Uver as a druid right now at all.
right.
It doesn't fit. So I think wizard was a good call.
And I think it was like barely a month until we started when you were like, I'm going to be a wizard.
Yeah. But I've been enjoying him. The accent was a complete accident. I had a completely idea in my head of what I was going to do, and then I opened my mouth to start my prologue, and this is the accent that came out. And I kind of just kept it going.
Okay, so my favorite bit of feedback we've gotten is about your voice.
What is it?
We were told that so-and-so said that you sounded like a French vampire. And I love it. It's just so wonderful.
That is beautiful.
I think that comment just ruins Uver's voice for me.
I'm sorry,
I
but
really like his voice,
it
but I'm
was
just
so
going to be like,
good.
what a French little vampire.
That's amazing.
The French vampire.
But I think it was really cool to see you do Dwarf again, because in our last campaign we played that Jordy ran that we called the Shrouded Throne. I don't know if it's really come up at all in the show. It might have.
It has.
But you, after we almost beat your old character to death and then he actually did die, you brought in a dwarf alongside me, and I think that was was it your first time playing a dwarf? Because you seemed so into them when you started
That was
playing
my
a
first time
character.
playing a dwarf, yeah.
And is that what made you just want to play another dwarf?
I like dwarves for some reason in Pathfinder. I do, which is funny because I'm actually really tall, but I connect with them.
You're usually an elf guy.
Yeah, I'm usually an elf guy.
Usually we say he's like an elf person. But it's really cool to see you start like a journey of discovering dwarves, and you seem so interested in them.
I like them. I like their mechanics and their history that you can build with them. Just fun.
Yeah, I like it. It's cool.
Yay.
I like your character. It's cool.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you.
He's a forgetful old man, but we love him.
Oh yeah, speaking of that, I was kind of curious about the aspect of forgetting things. Was that ever on the plate for Uver, or was that completely a Jordy thing?
Oh, funny story about that.
And now, funny haha or funny
Or funny,
probably actually funny, haha, because
So funny.
so I've already brought up that he's 300 years old, right? And Jordy just sent me this message one day on Discord. He's like, "Hey, so just for some ideas, how do you feel about it? Like having your character just for the reason why he's still technically level 1."
Level 1.
Level 1. Why is this level 1? Maybe he has like some memory issues or something like that. And I just went, "Oh yeah, sure. That can kind of make sense." Completely forgot about that conversation. Utterly just went in one ear out the other, like buried in messages on Discord, like gone.
The irony.
And then Jordan's
Very
like,
on brand.
"You don't remember." What?
So, ironically, you didn't remember not remembering.
Ironically, I didn't remember not
I
remembering.
have that written
Beautiful.
down in my quotes from one of the episodes.
So yeah, whenever you hear Uver being very shocked that he doesn't remember something, it's not just Uver.
That's very fun because I thought you and Jordy like had an end goal for like what you're forgetting. And I have an idea. I have theories. I'm theory crafting, but I didn't know you had no idea.
I have no idea. I have no idea what I've forgotten, where I'm going, what caused it, and what I can or cannot remember.
Beautiful.
All
Sounds
we
like
know-
exactly how I play all the games.
So you all will get to join this journey with Uver with me.
All we know is the Grungear Forest.
All we know is the
That's it.
Grungear Forest.
And that shows off.
And by this point, you guys have heard my prologue, so...
Well, I haven't.
I haven't.
I have
now you know
not.
where this was recorded. You guys haven't heard my prologue.
I'm
yet.
waiting for
We're
it to
still
come out.
secret from each other, which we haven't done that in a while. Another like secret session.
Yeah.
Except for my prologue for my new character that we just recorded a few days ago. But yeah, I think that's a good example of a character that the player has a lot of good ideas for, but is also kind of just lets go and lets the GM come up with a lot of plot hooks and play with the story and kind of do what they want to do with it.
Oh, he's thrown me around.
Honestly, it's really fun to just talk with Jordy about like, this is my character. Let's just talk about what things that might happen in the story or what kind of directions to take the character and things that happen to them. I'm sure.
The deeper we get into the show, the more excited I am for you guys to start unraveling all of the ridiculous and secret ways that your characters' stories are actually like majorly involved in the storyline of this world.
I'm scared.
I'm scared too.
Oh my.
So on that, I've talked with Jordy, or I've tried to talk with Jordy about my character just so I can have like some sense of direction. And every time I get met with, "Your time is coming at level 13."
So specific.
So be watching if Howard survives. You'll get
Yeah.
some really juicy
Yeah.
stuff.
Just remember, if you die,
Okay. Speaking of juicy things,
I don't like where you're going with
and
that.
your character having good story to what inspired you to create this character that you play?
Can I finish that sentence?
Yeah,
No.
sure. I thought you were done with that sentence.
No, it's a spoiler.
No, it was about to be a spoiler, but I'm fixing it.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay.
Just remember, if you die in the game, you die in real life.
Yeah, so Alward was actually very fun to make. Nothing really inspired it, but I remember we was during the psychic playtest.
Oh yes,
Oh.
yes! I ran the playtest for the
Mhm.
new, and we fought, and we created the Hogfather.
The
You weren't
what?
at that one.
No,
Hogfather.
What is-
Jordy
That was a
ran the
different
psychic
playtest.
playtest.
Why does that sound so familiar?
What is a Hogfather?
It's like so it's what's his name? The Discworld stories. Hogfather.
Oh, it's like they're
He's
Santa
like their
Claus.
Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's
Don't
the
worry,
hog
I'm just
father.
imagining
hog
like
father.
a boar in
There's a good special. You should watch
like
it
a
sometime.
dad
Just-
outfit.
That's what happens
disrespect my
in our
family.
game. Sorry, go on. Yes, I remember the one you're
Yeah.
talking about because we had 2 thaumaturges and 2 psychics.
Yeah, and each psychic was doing. I was the intellectual-based psychic, and somebody else was the charisma-based psychic, and Jordy was
Jack.
GMing that. What level were we? You were like 13?
7?
I
7?
think, yeah.
Okay, yeah, we were
Yeah.
level 7, and I made him
Thaumaturges.
the exact opposite
You were
The Shisk with no name.
The Shisk with
Yeah,
no name.
the Shisk
Abby
with no
was in that
name.
one as a thaumaturge.
I made my because
Bad
Sam was
idea.
telling me about his thaumaturge and how like creepy he was gonna make it.
Love thaumaturge.
So I made him like specifically to be terrified of Sam's thaumaturge.
That's true. Cedric was a little creepy.
He was very creepy. He had a baby doll that he would just like. It was creepy.
Wasn't Cedric like the prototype for Hamir too?
We'll get to that.
And then I played him in another. I forgot what it was. Like if it was a pretest or anything, but somebody needed an extra player, and I was like, I'll play and I'll bring in this character, and sort of he sort of just became like really neurotic and like wanted to know random things about the room. Weren't you jimming that as well?
Yeah, that was the haunted house one.
Yeah, that was fun. And then I really liked the idea, and I really liked wanting to play around with sort of that kind of person. I think that got lost in translation somewhere, which is fine. It happens when you get to play a character. But then for like his story, I wanted to play around with the idea of control and not having it and timey-wimey nonsense. And that's basically it. That's all.
And thus Alward was born.
Yeah, and thus Alward was
Like
born.
many of your characters before him, we will soon devolve into not pronouncing his name and just making guttural sounds. Like, for example, that was one of his characters whose name was Alabaster Agerfirth.
Yeah, Alabaster Agerfirth.
And we started just calling him Alabaster Agerfirth.
And that's what it
because,
got down. He was one of my favorites.
Okay.
He likes A names.
I do. I had Atticus, Alward, Alabaster.
Congratulations.
All in a row.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
You've only abandoned one of those characters.
Amazing.
I've abandoned none of them.
See, I don't think abandoning characters is a good idea, but here we are.
Sam.
Yeah.
Hamir.
What about me? Yeah.
That was my transition
gonna
to talk
So,
about
yeah,
you.
what inspired you
I
to
guess
create
I can
Hamir?
talk. Oh, boy. Well,
What didn't
first of all, when I heard there was a thaumaturge class being even worked on, I was like, I'm playing that for this podcast. And I was like, this is a great class. I love the class. It was like the one-y occultist inspiration. It shared the same inspiration for it, so I was down for it. And then when we finally were going to do a play test for it, I made one. I made Cedric, a thaumaturge tiefling, who was really creepy.
I forgot
Also
he
had
was
a chalice. He also drank the chalice. He had his horns like a wreath, like a Caesar's wreath.
Oh.
And when you could like his skin was partly translucent and stuff. Anyway, I played that character, and presumably I understood the thaumaturge better than how they wrote him, because once they actually released it, it was the way I intended him to be played, which didn't work with the playtest rules.
Mm-mm.
But then they made the real rules, and it was exactly how I played him.
I remember that confusion too, because I was like, why are you playing the character like this? The mechanics clearly are a totally different character. And then the full version came out and I was like, oh no, you're right.
I knew what they needed. I knew. It's my class. Gosh darn it. And then we were working up to playing the pre-play, and I made a bunch of different thaumaturges. I tried so many different concepts. I had a mummy at one point. And then we got to the playtest, and I played a thaumaturge. And that guy was pretty fun. I'm blanking on his name. I really liked
Starts
it.
with a K.
Kamea.
Kamea.
Wait,
Yeah, he
I thought
had a
Kamea was a
mask.
kineticist.
No, Weira is a
Oh,
kineticist.
right. Kamea died.
I thought that was something off Dragon Ball Z.
No.
Kamehameha,
I played
Kamehameha.
Kamea. He had the mirror implement, and he was a whatever, ancestry.
Significantly
Lineage.
It
less
was
creepy.
so cool.
Less creepy. I loved him as a character,
He's
and then he got murdered by Pakano. Screw you, Pakano.
Freaking Pakano,
I tried to make
ruining
you a better
Pakano.
person, and you killed me for it.
And Willie Mays tried to save him, but
Yeah.
he got stabbed too.
That's true. And then, so I made about 20 different characters with Jordy, which were all thaumaturges.
And
And I'm sure he loved my 20 different concepts that all worked off of each other.
yeah, and let me tell you, as a fly on the wall for like half of their conversations about his characters, it got real confusing. Because you were so vague every time.
Well, when you were around.
Yeah. So I was like, which character's what?
As a member of the conversation, it got real confusing.
That's true. I just need so that's typically how I make characters is I make like 20 different character concepts and just bounce them off of people. I don't need them to fully understand what I'm doing. I just need opinions and thoughts about things. So then it wasn't until we were talking and I was like, well, I want to do this weird entity, which at the time we talked about being like some fae prince that was cursed or something. That definitely went out the window. But I was like, we were like, who could that guy be played by? And I was like, oh, it could be Willem Dafoe. And you were like, no, this other guy. I forget who you said. You gave another British actor.
I gave a lot. I think it was like John Hurt was on that list.
And then I was like, because I like to think about actors playing characters sometimes to help.
Willem Dafoe
And then I
is
was
not
like,
British.
well, yeah, I said some other British actor.
That implies
No,
Willem Dafoe is
Willem Dafoe's not British. But then that made me think, oh, Willem Dafoe could make a good basis for this character. And that was literally the thing that tied it up for me, that I got the character finished, was just thinking of Willem Dafoe in this role and helped just sculpt Hamir as a character.
Nice.
And I just kind of took a couple themes. I took desperation, selfishness, and kind of just built the character based off of those words. And got some more words from Jordy and changed some definitions and stuff. And then I was like, Hamir is a character, and I designed him this way to be possibly a permanent character, but have really good outs to not be a permanent character for multiple reasons.
Sam
Wow.
does that a lot.
He left, so.
Definitely took the selfishness part of that.
I do have a reputation of switching characters,
Uh-huh.
but like
deserved.
over half of them die.
Yeah.
And when they do leave, it's because it makes sense.
But the other half don't die.
Yeah, but they leave for a good reason, typically.
I think every time I've played with you, you've had a character leave for one reason or another. And none of them have actually died,
we won't-
except for Kamea.
We won't argue the good reason bit. It's just the fact that
And,
it
no,
happens.
every
The dwarf.
well, and Inglis,
Yeah.
I guess,
Inglis
died.
left
but
and then came back and then died.
That was fun.
Torkvorzik left, but he was special.
Yeah, Torkvorzik. He's still out
he
there
was
in the
a
world.
special
I'll
guest.
always love you. My Vesk from Starfinder ported into Pathfinder for one session.
Special guest
Who
Torkvorzik
killed two of the
boss
main
rider.
enemies of the campaign and then just left the
It
next
was
session.
hey,
Just
that was a
gone.
beautiful boss moment, and we love him
and really
for it.
three of the main bosses.
It's
Yeah.
still Torkvorzik still holds the fastest slaying of vampires
Yeah.
in that
Truly.
whole campaign.
Yeah.
Truly.
But yeah, I mean, and then that kind of just developed into Hamir, and I wanted him to be a father. That was a big part. So he's looking for his daughter, and then him leaving. We kind of actually, me and Jordy played around with a lot of different ideas for what to do with Hamir, and when we got really close to it, we decided this actually seems like the best idea. And we've talked about more for possible future stuff with Hamir, but we decided this was actually fit really well narratively. And so Hamir has left you all.
That's fine.
Traitor.
I mean, it's not fine, but it's fine.
It's
Also,
fine.
pretty early on, I had talked with Jenkins about having our characters be more directly connected. It didn't get as direct as I originally intended it to be, because he didn't really play ball. And then he was just kind of do what you want and connect it somehow.
Well, not all of
That's
us
how it
like
ended up
sports.
being.
Okay, so
Because I wanted to remain vague about everything.
yeah, that's the issue.
I wouldn't. We didn't have to be vague about how they're connected.
No, but you, especially with how you had our characters
true.
connected, I would need to know some things, but you didn't. We just settled on basically, I knew your father in the war, and I'm like, cool.
Yeah, that's kind of what we settled on.
But-
I decided to make your father a ghost in my head.
Yeah, and like, how can I help with that if you won't tell me that he's a ghost in your head?
You could have been better. You're a disappointment.
All
Hey,
right,
Nero lives
speaking
on.
of
I'm gonna
disappointments,
leave.
let's talk about Nero.
Oh, headphones are coming off. Abby is ready to take Petite out.
You want to go, bro?
Hey, I love Nero. She's great.
We can throw
Nero's
down
is
right
great.
now.
I was just
You
waiting.
want-
I was waiting for a transition, and
And you chose that?
I have a better transition. Speaking of characters who always have tons of trauma, Abby,
What?
you made a
Also
character
facts.
presumably with lots of trauma because your characters always have lots of
I
trauma.
don't know what you're talking about. Okay, so yes, historically I do create characters with a ton of trauma and very large backstories.
which we love. Jordy especially.
I don't know how much Jordy actually loves it.
I love reading like all of the pages of like flashbacks in novel style she sends me, and then go, wow, I have a really good idea of how this character can work in things. How on earth am I going to make all of this relevant aside from just me knowing this backstory?
You don't have to make all of it relevant if you don't want to. But yeah, one of my favorite characters that I've played for, over 2 years.
In 2 campaigns.
In 2 different campaigns.
And I know nothing about that.
Has a very traumatic, very long backstory, and the backstories are completely different in both of those campaigns.
Okay.
What do you want?
I have been a player in both campaigns with this character, Aliro. I know maybe 10% about Aliro as a character.
There's a point.
In both campaigns,
There's a reason for that.
I know nothing about her.
So,
what do you want?
To pile on, I was also in both campaigns. Granted, the first one I joined in the way later half, but I was in both campaigns. I know like 2% about both of them combined.
Oh my god!
Petite, you have another question?
So to pile onto that, I know nothing about those characters.
You've played with Aliro in Shrouded Throne.
I was not in Shrouded Throne.
He was.
That's right.
So,
but to talk about that,
sorry,
you may not tell others your backstory,
I tell nothing.
but that really shows through in your character, and that is the best part.
the Shrouded Throne was Jordy as GM, and all of us but Petite. This podcast is just that group. Well, we put Petite.
I'm sorry. You're just in my mind. You are also there in that campaign. I'm sorry.
Were there any
No.
extremely terrible jokes or?
Yes.
Multiple.
Okay,
It's
well,
a
I could see the confusion.
It's a tabletop RPG game.
I want more of Aliro's backstory. Gosh darn it!
You'll get it when you get it.
To be fair,
That campaign's not over yet.
yeah, we're still very early.
This
We're
is
supposed
not-
to meet again. We're halfway through it. We're supposed to go.
This is the Written in the Lost. This is not the Shrouded Throne. So therefore, this is not the place for you to learn Aliro's backstory.
Oh,
this
yeah,
is
let's
the place
talk
for
about
you
Neros.
to talk
Yeah,
about
so what about
Neros?
Neros?
What about the other character we know not little about?
Okay, so with that being said, with me creating characters that have an ungodly amount of trauma in their backstory, I chose not to do that
It's true.
for this campaign.
I've noticed.
And I also chose not to write a novel of a backstory for Jordy.
Ooh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he has very little compared to what I usually give him.
Maybe
Jordy,
like a third of what I
Yeah.
had for Aliro.
What do you like that? Yay or nay? How do you feel about it? Does
I'm
it feel
torn.
wrong?
Do you
The
want
more
more?
people give me, the more I've gotten understanding of who their character is, what they care about, where they're going, things like that. It really helps me to have an understanding of, oh, if I put this in this scene, this is how this character will react to that.
Okay. Well, I may give you more.
I was
I don't
about
know.
to say, and here comes the novel.
No, I'm too busy for that.
Watch your inbox tonight, Jordy.
Oh, dear Lord. So when I was thinking about Neros, she's really a compilation of like 3 characters that I had floating around in my head. And I knew I wanted her to be an orphan. At first, she had the ward background. So she was raised in someone else's home. But then I was like, I'm not really vibing with this. I can't really create a story very well for this. So then I was like, what if she's just in an orphanage? So that's what I did with her. But I still wasn't sure what class to make her. And I played around with a couple of them. And what I kept going back to was sorcerer. And she has no idea where these powers come from. All she knows is that she started to be able to use magic at a young age. And people kind of were afraid of her because of that. But
And the tentacle arms.
and the tentacle arms. But she's the opposite of me in every single way.
Except for the love of animals.
Except for, does she love animals?
I don't know. You said in the first
And
episode
alcohol.
that you liked animals.
I don't have like a love of alcohol. Jenkins.
I know.
Okay,
Abby.
Jordy gave us a 1 to 8 scale of how much our characters love animals. What did you put on that?
I don't remember. I think I was in the middle.
Jordy sent us a questionnaire.
I'm pretty sure I was in the middle.
fair enough.
I
You're
think
neutral about
I think
animals.
Neros was neutral.
Fair.
Me, Abby, 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10.
Easy.
Where was I going with this?
That you were not similar at all.
Opposite of yourself.
Yes, and I've said this several times. I don't know if it's ever made it into a recording. The morals and actions of Neros do not align with the creator of the character.
I would hope so.
That
We are not
Yeah.
the same person.
Yeah, we can vouch for this.
But I wanted someone who was a little more fun-loving, a little less traumatized, a little more open compared to what I've been playing for the past 3 years. And I was, or 2 years, and I was told I could not play a Lero in this campaign.
Wait, who told you that?
All of you. So I came up with Neros.
Well,
Except for me, I didn't say anything.
I was
'cause-
gonna say fun-loving in another campaign I run. You had a little bard that was kind of fun, but then
Oh,
she got pretty traumatized and
she
is drunk
got
now.
pretty. She's an alcoholic now.
Yeah.
She's seen some
So-
things.
She's not traumatic.
Oh,
but
poor
she's kinda
Poppy.
fun.
Yeah, that poor girl.
I'm sorry, I don't treat my players very well.
I know you don't.
I like horror stuff, so it happens. It bleeds in. It bleeds in.
I know, and that's okay.
Yes.
Did you find it?
Yes, you did say halfway.
Oh, okay. So my memory doesn't suck.
So a question I have for you: you said you wanted them to be an orphan. Did you talk with Jordy about like what you wanted your family? Because
No.
that's what big part of your story right now is family lineage.
Yeah, so the main thing is that she's looking for her family. As I look over at Jordy, and he's just doing a menacing
Hands.
hand gesture.
A menacing hands. Dun dun dun.
My main thing for her is that she's looking for her family because all she has is that letter that, she's been asking people, hey, do you recognize this seal? So that's pretty much all she has. And it took her a very long time after aging out of the orphanage to be like, hey, I guess I should actually look for these people that I'm apparently related to. So, and the rest is on Jordy. He's come up with pretty much everything else that has happened
Yeah.
in her story.
Nice.
That does make me think. All of our characters, for the majority of the characters, seem to have a lot going on with family stuff.
Yeah,
Was
that's a weird
Did you at
theme.
all
Huh?
mention that to
What?
people, or did that just kind of
Except-
happen,
except-
Jordy?
So I did not coordinate this emerging theme of family with anybody. It wasn't actually until everybody's characters were kind of starting to be like settled and kind of come together that I was like, wow, this is like a core theme of the story is family. Like everybody has this as a part of them. Even Uver, to an extent, has family as like a part of his story.
I guess I don't remember that
Well,
bit.
Not surprising.
So we know, like, I have family. Hamir had the family with the daughter stuff because I wanted to play. I mostly play characters with families of some sort, and this character was looking. I decided for Irulan, he's looking for his daughter, and then Abby just said she didn't really. She just wanted to be an orphan.
I don't want to be an orphan.
Well, your character wanted to be. You wanted to make your
orphans.
character.
I
an
wanted to make my
orphan.
character an orphan.
Zafir, I don't really know much about your family stuff or why it's involved, so I don't want to ask too much about it because
think
it
it's
feels
come
like it
up,
might
like,
spoilery
once.
stuff. But Jenkins, what made you want to like have a sickly mother? And
Okay, you need to stop accusing us of wanting our characters
but where
to
did
have
the
these
idea
things.
of you like
Yeah.
supporting your family and having like the sickness come from?
so
I
I-
know we're jumping to a different
No,
character,
you're
but
good. I don't know how much of that I can speak on because the reason why I thought it was cool may not come up until way later.
oh,
My
fair
mother's
enough.
sick.
But-
This is rad.
No, so there's like a story reason why she's sick.
Okay.
But
Let's-
I really, like I said, I wanted to play with the idea of control and not having any, and I knew I wanted Alward to have a family, and then you brought up the idea. I was gonna have the father just around, and then you brought up the idea of the thing
and being dead.
yeah, and then him being dead, and I was like, okay, that works, and then we got that settled. And well, no, I actually, I think I didn't want him around because I wanted Alward to like have to step in as caretaker.
Yeah,
And
all
then-
that kind of. I forget when all that happened. If
Yeah.
which one was first?
I forget too, but so her being sick is really just a way for
You
like-
lose control. You don't
Yeah.
have control over.
I don't have
something.
control of her being sick. There's nothing I can do to really prevent it or stop it or do anything. So that's really where that came from. It was originally going to be his sister who was sick, but I was like, I don't know if I want that. And I talked to Jordy about it for like 3 weeks. And we settled on the mom.
Okay.
Nice.
Well, I like it. A lot of interesting family stuff. I look forward to finding out more about Zafir's whole family situation.
Yeah.
Assuming he is telling the truth, I just remember hearing something about his family. and looking for
I don't
them.
even remember what I
And
said.
then he spoiled something at dinner with me on accident when he found out my wife
You
knew
said
secrets
you
about
would
the
forget.
campaign. I don't remember what it was, but I remember that you did it.
So we were all a family of clowns.
That makes a
And
lot
it
of
turned
sense.
dark.
That explains the voice.
What?
Okay, I have some questions. Listener questions
Ooh.
What
from
are
my
these?
wife.
Oh.
All
She
of-
is a listener.
I asked her if she had questions, and she sent me some. So we're going to go around the table and answer some of these questions.
I'm scared.
Let's go.
Jordy, starting with you, what's your favorite color?
It's not about the.
Pine green.
Getting real deep.
Petite,
Oh, you're going the wrong
That's
direction.
also my favorite color.
Blue.
Nice.
Jenkins,
What was the question?
your favorite color?
Oh, I love red, like a deep, deep red.
I love purple. Abby.
It's kind of the same color as Jordy's, pine green, but it's like more. It has more blue in it.
Oh, more tealy,
No,
but not teal.
no,
So like the color of an evergreen in the winter.
no,
Like a Douglas fir.
no.
Like Doug Jones.
The
No.
color of Doug Joe.
Look up phthalo green. PHTHALO.
That's a
All
call
right.
to action to the listeners.
Green.
Look up.
If
phthalo
you didn't
green.
spell that right,
Can you
All
spell
right.
it again?
PHTHALO.
Jeez, what a word.
Phthalo green.
That's a nice green.
Ooh,
Yeah,
that is
it
a nice.
That's
green.
my favorite color.
That's a good color.
apparently it's got excellent light fastness.
I'm gonna have to show this to my wife. She loves that green.
Okay.
It's like Zoanite.
Oh yeah.
Zoanite.
It's a Zelda thing.
Tears of the Kingdom.
That's Jacob
I literally
talking.
just said that I've never played any Legend of Zelda whatsoever,
Oh, I
so
missed that.
I
Alright.
have no idea what that is.
Well, continuing along. Sven, what's your favorite color? If you have one.
A really rich navy blue.
Really?
Hmm.
Jacob, what's your favorite color?
I might have to reconsider Phthalo Green.
Jacob, get on my mic.
Jacob's-
Jacob, get up here.
Jacob's life has been
yeah.
Everyone, this is our
Changed.
editor, Jacob.
Welcome to the table.
Yeah, like Sam said, whoa, that sounds weird.
Welcome.
Yeah, you experienced
Like
it.
Sam said, that Phthalo Green may have changed my life, but I'm going to disqualify that for now and give it some thought. Apart from that, my two favorite colors, depending on my mood, are either a bright, vibrant red or like a light, calm, like cyan, like a sky blue.
Interesting. All right, Nolan, our spectator.
Our spectator.
Your
Stealing
favorite
Sam's
color?
mic.
I don't know. It's really hard to say to one color. I like the cool colors, blues and greens. I always like those. I tend towards those.
You look
like
like
a
a
green
green person.
Thank you.
That's rude.
I've been feeling sick lately. No, I'm fine. But no, I tend to go green, but I mean, I like greens, I like blues. I like the cool colors because they're awesome. Yeah.
Nice.
Nolan is our
Cool.
animal wrangler and spectator.
That's true. He handles a lot of pets.
Should we
does.
continue to include them since it's so cumbersome?
Who's to say? No, I won't. I just wanted that one for fun. All right, her next question. Your favorite characters you've ever played? I think some of them have kind of come up. Abby. You talked a lot about.
Yeah,
at
Abby's
least-
is definitely a
Well,
Lero,
Yeah,
but the Shrouded Throne version,
that's true.
she's great.
We'll follow the normal. So we'll follow the circle I just did, but I'll have a follow up for Abby.
Oh gosh.
Jordy, what's your favorite character you've ever played in these campaigns? And it can't be your gnome who died. Who crit failed Phantom Pain, was
Why
it?
not? That was amazing.
I was
What
going to
was
say
that,
his name.
what was
I
that
don't remember his
weapon
name.
called? What was that spell called?
Phantasmal Killer.
You
Yeah.
double crit failed.
Double,
Oh
double,
my
double.
gosh.
And so you instant died.
Yeah, he was like flying up in the air. It was a cool moment, and then
he fell and then rolled down some stairs
And got dragged
off by an
be
evil
experimented
gnome.
on.
All right.
But
well,
no, my favorite character that I've ever played was the character with 3 names that was usually going by the name of Gregory Decker.
Oh, you're a vigilante.
A swashbuckler vigilante who was in disguise while he was trying to track down the criminal ring that drove him out of his town.
And then he died.
And then
in
he
a swamp.
died.
That was basically a TPK. Petite, you've had a slew of characters. Which one's been your favorite?
So funny enough, he's actually a character that I played that wasn't a character that turned into a character that I was DMing at the time because it was D&D. But it was Agarath. I don't think he had a last name.
I remember
But he was
Agarath.
my favorite person.
Didn't you play as him
ever. So
in one campaign, and then you brought him in as an NPC?
So he started in as one person in somebody's head out of multiple people.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
And then
I had to kill off 80% of those.
at some point in the story, there was a point where we could just switch. The person who had the ability to switch me died, so that didn't work out. But Agarath stuck around. He was always in somebody else's body, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was like a weird soul.
But then
moving
later
around.
on, I decided to build like a story around him and make a short campaign about it, like a puzzle box type of thing.
I was a player in
and
that.
Sam was a player part of it, but it didn't really go very far.
No.
I still have ideas for it, but he was actually fully fledged. Well, no, he wasn't even in the flesh, was he? He was stuck in a gem.
Yep.
Wow. Well, he was my favorite person. He was a rogue guy.
Yep. Jenkins. Yeah, you played a rogue guy. What was your favorite? You've played as a guy who's also played many rogues.
I've played so many characters.
Who stands out to you? Not necessarily a favorite, unless you have a favorite, but who really stands out?
So I have like 2 or 3 that I can't decide between. So I'll make mine as short as I can. But there's this one that I absolutely loved playing because I loved the dynamic between me and another player we had. It was my friend's wife, and me and her, we have this like back and forth constantly. And we were playing as brother and sister, and that dynamic just really shone in there, and it was really fun to play. But then to like play mechanically in Pathfinder, it has to be Shio. Like that. Playing a monk is so much fun.
He's a good character.
It's so much fun.
Another Shrouded Throne. Love.
But my
He's
favorite.
so fast.
He's so fast.
Speedy boy.
My favorite, like personality wise, to play was a character who I made like incredibly. It wasn't. None of you guys have played in this campaign, unfortunately.
Is it your Chronal Pirate that I've heard about?
I know it was. It was in D&D before they messed the psychic class up and they had the pretest out. Not the mystic. The mystic class. And I made him like a very power-hungry guy, but he wasn't power-hungry in the sense that he just wanted power to obtain it. He was power-hungry in the sense that he wanted to be the strongest, and he wanted to help everybody else be stronger too, and he hated it when people didn't try, and I loved playing him so much. But that campaign died in like a month.
So you're saying it wasn't the Leshy that you played in that one shot that we did?
That Leshy was all about having as many Leshies out on the field as possible.
I just remember
I got
him
it up
being
to
a
like
potato.
7 or 8. There's so many Leshies.
So Sam.
What's your favorite character?
I've been thinking the last minute, and I'm like, oh man, I love so many of my characters.
I know, it's
How
hard.
can you ask the question and then not be able to answer
I didn't
it
ask the
yourself?
question. My wife asked. Well, my first character that really ever stood out to me was Helter Stormdrum.
Oh, I love Helter. I was hoping you were going to
Helter.
say that.
He
Yet
was
another person.
another D&D character. He was a orc. Again, he was a father of a mute deaf daughter, and he was separated from his wife and his daughter. He was a rogue investigator with the gunslinger multi-class. Yes, Jenkins.
Sorry, real fast. Is it mute and deaf? Or
No, just deaf.
Okay,
Just
that's what I wanted.
I couldn't remember.
You're good.
And he kind of led the party for a bit, and then when we moved on to the next chapter, it was literally like we need you to be in charge of the city. So he was like, all right. That was my first time ever retiring a character because it made no sense for him to keep going on.
We know
So
who
I
to
left
blame.
him behind.
It fit the story very, very well.
And then also, I want to mention my Call of Cthulhu character I played, Jimmy Harper.
I love him.
I love Jimmy Harper.
He's so
He
good.
was my favorite photographer, and he was a wonderful little boy who took pictures. Not he wasn't a little boy. He was a man. Yes, Jenkins, are you okay?
No, I forgot about George.
Yeah.
I love
Well, you
George.
never heard Jordy mention Dubs.
Oh, no.
Jordy, how dare you forget Dubs?
Well, Dubs has only made 2 appearances.
That's true.
But he's so good.
Sorry to interrupt your thing.
No, you're fine. So I played that Call of Cthulhu character for a bit, and then he died, sadly. And
Yeah, that was
he
hard.
liked to take pictures of emotions because he didn't fully understand them.
I loved
They
him.
only found out about that because after he died and they found his stuff. But he was also one of my first characters I ever really connected with. And then one other one I'll quickly mention is from the Shrouded Throne.
Which one?
Oh boy, no, wait. It's a toss up between my two Shrouded Throne characters in Pathfinder 2e. There's Inglis Cindermore. He was a
English, man.
dwarf ranger with
so
a
good.
meteor hammer who came in with Sven's character as a little duo. He ended up becoming a lawyer of sorts for the party. He led the group for a bit, left to go find more about his family, came back to the campaign only to get killed.
Yeah.
But then I replaced him with Kaisuke Setsunai,
Yeah.
who was a Tiansha cleric of Tsukio and Shizuru to Tiansha, which is kind of like the Asian fantasy world.
That's where Shio was from.
Where your Shio character is from. And he was just this a lovely, amazing older man cleric who kind of already had most of his story finished for him, so he kind of just was a support man for the whole group. And
such a good character.
Literally prayed a vampire to death.
So good.
we're back at Abby, who said
What do you want?
Aliro.
What do you want from
Specifically the Shrouded Throne version.
Specifically the Shrouded Throne. I was going to ask about your Call of Cthulhu character that you really liked, because you started playing Call of Cthulhu.
me? I did, which we can talk about that later.
Yeah, we'll talk about her. maybe.
No, my favorite Call of Cthulhu character was Ingrid Porter.
Ingrid.
Love her.
Sounded like you said angered.
Ingrid.
What was she? She was a painter who made a deal with something.
She was a painter that made a deal with Nyarlathotep.
Oh, yes.
And she, like, literally to spread his chaos, but also to reap benefits from being a very famous painter, she had to create just something every single day. And she was only famous because of that deal.
Nice.
And she broke that deal, and all of her fame went away instantly.
I loved her. I was in that campaign as Jimmy, and then I died.
She
and
was
then I brought
amazing.
in Mort, the mortician. And he died. He left.
Nighttime is Mort's
Yet
time.
another name
I
you
didn't
just
finish
brought in.
that campaign.
Sven.
Sorry, Petit.
Oh, I forgot the Techo Gecko. That was another one.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
I didn't think about our
I didn't
Mutants and
either.
Masterminds characters that
I
we
love
barely
Jeff.
played. I loved those two. Those were great.
Sven, I think
Sven.
we'll pass it over
I
to
think
you.
we're out of time.
Oh.
All right, Sven.
Who's
as
your
a-
favorites?
As someone who also started playing games around the same time we did, who is your favorite character that you've ever gotten to play? Just like all of us, you can only pick one.
But if they died and you brought somebody else in, you can talk about them too.
I have two characters really.
Okay. Go for it.
One for 5e and one for 2e. For 2e, you've all heard about this campaign multiple times.
Hang on.
You might want to specify 5e of Dungeons and Dragons.
And
Oh,
two
you're right.
each
5e of Dungeons and Dragons and 2e of Pathfinder. My apologies. For Pathfinder, like I said, you've heard the reference already, but Shrouded Throne, Lycos. He
Such a good character.
So we've used that name in this
That was your ballroom name.
That was my ballroom name. That was totally not on purpose. No, Lycos was fun because he came about because my character died,
Which none of us was upset about.
including myself. We can do that. We can have that story another time. But Lycos came about because I needed a backup character, and his entire backstory, everything, which got quite involved, started off one idea, like two sentences of he's a ranger, he's a dwarf, and he has an extremely ornately chiseled, or not chiseled, but an engraved bow, long bow. And that was the beginning of Lycos, and he came in with Inglis in this campaign. Sam and I both came in at the same time with new characters, and he developed from there to an absolute, like, so much fun. Like I that was honestly one of the first characters wherever I forgot that I am me and I was actually playing another person in a session, like just full immersion, method acting, what have you. But he was really the first character that I ever felt that. For 5e, my favorite character is actually a character I'm currently playing right now.
Oh, not
Yeah.
Seps.
Yeah, it's not a
and,
former character.
The other.
Yeah, and another campaign I'm playing with some other friends
He's
from college.
cheating on us
He's
with
cheating.
5e Dungeons and Dragons.
I quit. I'm out of here.
But his name is Orion Hildegard.
Good name.
And I don't want to do don't want to talk about too much of his details because a vast portion of them are actually a secret to the players in that campaign as well.
Yeah.
They don't listen to us.
I don't want to take the
I
chance.
know for a fact
there's
Jack
a good
doesn't.
chance that a lot of them may be already revealed by the time this airs, but I'm not going to take that chance because that's part of the fun of that character is that I get to have those secrets. We'll say it that way.
Cool. What class is he?
His Orion.
Yeah.
He is a warlock.
Ooh, I like
Yeah,
warlocks.
he's a warlock.
Warlocks are fun.
Hexblade warlock to be more
Nice.
specific.
Neat.
So, but he is definitely another one of those characters where I forget that I am me and I am immersed in that character. So
Awesome.
You done?
yeah,
Or
go for it.
I didn't want to cut you off. Or
Nah,
anything,
you guys
so-
are mate. Go.
I have a question for Jordy, and it's actually about the campaign we're in currently, and not about everything else, because this kind of got off track. Is there any part in the campaign, any part that you can tell us about that we missed that you really wish we didn't miss in Chapter 1?
So the interesting thing about the way that I run the campaign, at least, is there are multiple different, like, I feel like it's the multiverse, you know, and it's like choices that you guys make just determines which version of the plot line we're going down. And at every point, there's always like me going, oh, it'd be really interesting if they went down this road because then they would learn this and that would push forward this story. So like when Alward and Zephyr were, you know, almost getting captured by Siggy and you managed to talk your way out of that, the rest of the group got in and rescued you. We literally had plans for what if they just decide to go with him? They just let him take them downstairs and they just like, well, we're captured now. What do we do then? And I'm like, oh, there's some really cool stuff that's going to happen here. I kind of want that to happen now.
I'm sad that it didn't. We should have just stayed captured.
I remember
not-
that because you and Jacob actually had a conversation outside on, hey, how do we get him out of this?
So I was going to ask, when you say we, who else do you like collaborate with, like to get the story going and have ideas?
Yeah, so I have a rule. If you live with me, you can't have secrets about my stories. You are in on all of the secrets if you live in the same house as me. So I've got Jacob, my brother, who's the editor, and Nolan, who lives in our house as well. And they are like my story consulting team. And I've got other people I will check in with,
Like
you know,
my wife.
mostly. Yeah. Sam's wife, one of my sisters, helps out a lot. She's doing a lot of the art for the show. But I'll run by ideas with them and a lot of like impromptu, like I was not expecting that decision. I'll just grab Jacob and or Nolan and just be like, okay, how do we do this?
So 2 follow-up questions. Well, actually, one of them is not a question. Your sister and his wife do not live in this house. Just throwing that out there. The follow-up question is...
My wife, not his sister's wife.
Yes.
the follow-up question is, what if somebody moves out? Do they not get to hear anymore?
It's too late for them. I know too much.
Nolan, we're watching you.
He has a Discord chat set up.
Oh,
I don't actually know if he did. Do you, if somebody moves out, will you just set up a Discord chat with them?
Yeah, we're going to have to do that.
Jordy can't think of all the ideas.
All right. Well, that was a fun little Q&A thing.
It was supposed to be about the story.
It could have been. It was kind of. This was more of like a check-in on characters and who we are. We didn't really talk about the story, right?
Yeah, I guess.
But
we did
it's
talk
still
about
kind
the
of
characters.
fledgling story. You know, I
Yeah.
don't feel like there's a lot to talk about
A
yet.
fetchling story?
Fetchlings? There are 2 of us in it.
I
So
feel like a
many.
lot of the questions we'll have at this point, my answer is just going to be like, you'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Pretty much how it is. So I think Petite needs to get going, so we should wrap this up. Sven, did you have one last thing, or are you just playing with your paddleboard?
I'm just playing.
Okay.
For anyone wondering, we have paddle boards.
Little whiteboard
We use them so we
paddleboards.
don't. We're trying to work on not talking over each other as much. It's really hard to do. I'm sure as you noticed in our show, we've gotten better about it. But we have little paddle boards so we can jump in without everybody being surprised.
I really wanted to interrupt you for a
I
joke.
know. Like, it's really hard. It's
The
hard.
invasive
I wanted to
thoughts.
interrupt you specifically because you were explaining how we're trying to get better
Yeah.
at it.
But
No.
this was a fun little thing we wanted to do. We couldn't record full episodes today, so we wanted to do this. We want to do more. We have an idea for doing more of these in the future. So, we really love your guys' feedback, and we want to hear more.
Yeah.
If you have little questions that could fall for the story, maybe if we meet for the second time, or just about us as people, you're welcome to send them to our email, broadcastingatomic@gmail.com.
You can also DM us at any of the socials.
Mhm.
That's also true.
Link
And that
in the
some of that
description.
information might change in the future, so just keep an eye out and let us know, and we'll include some more questions in the future. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'll turn this over to Jordy to see if he has anything else to go on out.
And that's it from Jordan.
Yeah, no, just send us your questions. We'd love to do more Q&As. The more questions we have, the more A's we'll have for them. So, yeah, send them on in. We can do more. We were thinking about doing one per book of the story, which there's not a whole lot of books. But if we get a lot of questions, we will do them more frequently.
Mm-hmm.
Sven?
And remember, everyone, have an atomic time.
That's a good ending.
This has been an Atomic Broadcasting production. Pathfinder, Galarian, and the Lost Omens world setting are copyright of Paizo. More information at paizo.com. Music in the show is from Monument Studios' collection, as well as assorted artists, with some original tracks composed by Jordy Hake. More details in the description. If you enjoyed the show, please remember to share with a friend, and we'll look forward to seeing you again next time.
My Star Druid. I forgot his name.
Star Druid?
Oh, in our campaign that we
Yeah.
were in?
Yeah.
Who
He got
guarded
hi-
the crystal?
Yeah, he got high on speed that one time.
That's true.
Wait, what?
In Isaac's campaign.
Jorvis.
Jorvis.
Thank
I
you.
forgot about
Jorvis Lankard.
I love Jorvis.